I spent 8 hours working today. I spent 2 of those hours were in Figma. Yes, 2. So the other 6, nobody in the UX creator space talks about what those 6 hours actually look like. But those 6 hours, so today I'm going to show you exactly what I did, not a curated version, the real one, including the parts that felt messy in the moment and made sense afterwards. So let's go see what actually I did for the last day. Quick context before we get into it. I'm Tarni, UX designer and a consultant, 7+ years in, and I work with product teams to figure out what to build and why. I also run a small community for designers who want to level up faster than the usual 3 years and a promotion timeline. So I'm based in India, and I say that because the UX career path here is genuinely different from what most countries looks like, and also before comparing with the previous years, it's totally becoming different. All right. Yesterday, here is how it actually went. Let's start at 8:30. My first call of the day was with the client I have been working with for about 3 months. The product team, it was a fintech market, and it's a mid-sized group, mid-sized company. They were good people, and they came to this call with a list. There were 4 features, Q3 roadmap, and they wanted to talk through design requirements for all 4. I spent first 20 minutes of the call helping them realize they should probably remove 2 features they already had before building something new, because that's not being me difficult, that's actually my job, is what I felt. See, there is a version of UX design where you receive a brief, you design what's asked for, and you deliver it. That version exists, of course. It's fine. It's also why a lot of designers feels like they are just a production resourcer rather than someone with a seat at the table. So the version I am describing is where you can push back on the brief itself. That only happens when you have built enough trust with the client, and when you come in with data instead of just opinions. So here's what I had going into the call. So I had pulled in their features usage data from the previous quarter, 2 of their existing features, the features that had been in product for over years. So had under 3% active adoption, because not 97% was not there, like people not actively using those features. So users were barely touching them, and at the engineering team was still maintaining them, fixing the bugs in, and accounting for them in every new design decision. They were maintaining a dead weight, of course. So when the client said we want to add 4 new things, my first question was, before we talk about adding, can we look at what's not being used? Then the room got so silent. The call got so silent. They pushed back initially. Of course they did. They had promised these features to stakeholders. There were internal politics involved. The product manager on the call looked genuinely uncomfortable, but we went through the data together, usage rates, the support tickets related to each feature, user drop off the points in the flow, and slowly, in the way that only data can move a room. So the energy shifted. By the end of the call, they had agreed to formally deprioritize 2 existing features, clarify the actual goal for Q3. So which turned out to be retention, not acquisition, which completely changed what needed to be built. And they actually thanked me. So that's how we can reduce the repetitive works, which is not going to be so much helpful. And also it's going to be a dead weight for other team members as well, including the developers and testers. So the conversation was 20 minutes of work, no Figma, no design at all, just structured thinking and right questions at the right time. So, and I want you to think about what the conversation was worth to them, and if they had gone ahead and built 4 new features while 2 existing ones were dragging down the product, the wasted engineering time, the confused users, the support load, that's a month of damage. That's a lot of it's going to take a lot of time and month or weeks. It can be. And 20 minutes of the right conversation prevented months of wrong direction. So that's what a senior UX work looks like. Not more screens, more decisions. If you are a junior or in the mid-level or being a senior, you want to know the single thing that separates where you are from the senior. It's this. So the ability to walk into the room with data and change what's that's getting built, and not just how it looks. And coming to the next block, that is research synthesis. I had 11 user interview recordings from the previous week. So each interview was between 45 minutes and an hour. So that's roughly 9 to 10 hours of raw audio in total. My task this morning was not to analyze all of it, but my task was to find the 2 things that actually mattered. So how am I gonna do this? Make it more easier to listen to around 11 hours of interview calls, and also to find out the 2 things that actually, because I have to proactively listen to each and every word that's been used by the user. So not 11 insights, not 40 slide research report, just 2 things. Because here's something I learned the hard way about 3 years into my career. If you give a stakeholder 40 insights, they will act on zero of them. So the human brain cannot prioritize 40 things at a time. You end up with a report that everyone nods at and nobody does anything about it. So if we are giving a report, that must be helpful in most prioritized way. So if you give them two clear prioritized findings with evidences, with clear implications, they will move. They know what to do at least. So the synthesis process took me about 3 hours. Here is roughly how I worked through it. Because and I'll walk you through this more deeply in a future video. Maybe you can let me know in the comments if it's really needed. But in a shorter version. So I didn't re-listen to everything. That's the trap most junior researchers fall into. They try to be thorough by reviewing every minute of every recording. Instead, I went back to my interview notes, flagged the moments where a participant said something unexpected, something repeated something another participant had said, or where I had written a question mark for myself because I didn't fully understand what they meant. Then I looked in the patterns across those moments. So this is for the regular user interviews who doesn't have any of the AI tools for the support. In case if you have AI tools for the support, then there is a solution where you can upload the recording, because that needs a permission from the client to use those recording in the with the AI tools. So you can upload the recording, get the transitions and translations, and get all the notes from there, and point out what are the repeated things, easier to find. So you can look at the patterns across those moments easily, not themes I expected to find, but themes that were insisting on being found. So and then this is the most important step. I asked myself one question: if I could only tell the product team one thing from this research, just one, what would it be? Can you guess it? So the question is the most valuable editing tool in UX research. It forces you to take a position. It forces you to stop presenting everything you found and start presenting what actually matters. The two findings I landed on completely changed the decision and also the design direction for one of the features on the client's roadmap. So the same roadmap we had just discussed at 8:30. One finding made a planned feature irrelevant. The other revealed a user need that nobody had articulated in the brief. So the 3 hours of synthesis, potentially 3 weeks of design work redirected. And if you are actually, if you are doing UX research right now, your deliverable is a long report or a big Miro board. So I want you to try something before you share it. Ask yourself, what's the one thing, what's the finding that changes something? So lead with that, put everything else in the appendix. Watch how the room responds differently. And then comes the next slot. At 1 p.m., I had a stakeholder presentation. 8 people on the call: product, engineering, 2 people from leadership, a business analyst, and 2 founders. Here's what I did not say. We choose this design because it creates a clean, intuitive user journey, and the visual hierarchy guides the user attention naturally goes toward the primary call to action buttons. But instead, I said the design decision reduces the number of steps in the core task from 7 to 3 based on our benchmark data from similar onboarding flows. And the reduction of this scale typically correlates with the 35 to 40% improvement in task completion rate. And we have also mapped the improvement of to the product's specific drop-off point, which is currently their second highest support ticket category. So resolving it should reduce the support volume meaningfully within the first 2 months of release. So this is how I said. Design was barely mentioned. I talked about the steps, I talked about time, I talked about the support tickets, I talked about what happens after the design ships and not what the design looks like. Because this is the insight. The best design presentation I have ever given had 4 slides. I want to talk about why this matters for your career, specifically because I think there is a misconception in the UX community that learning to present means learning to make beautiful slide decks in your design shows, and also that can be shown at the right angle with the right annotation style. No, it's not that. Learning to present as a senior designer or the experienced designer means learning to translate your design decisions into the language of a person you're talking to. And with a developer, or it's a flexibility, like you can also, it depends on the edge cases, component logic, you have to create something similar according to the listener who's going to see your presentation. With the product manager, it's going to be user problems and priority and trade-offs. With leadership, it's going to be outcomes, risk, and timeline. So yeah, same design, complete different conversation, completely different responses with each user, each listener group. So the designers I have seen get stuck at a certain salary level for years, genuinely talented, good instincts, strong craft. They are often stuck with because they are presenting their work in designer language to people who don't speak it. So, if you are preparing for a design review or a presentation right now, try this structure. One, what problem does this solve, and what's the cost of not solving it? And two, what does the data say about this approach? And three is, what's the recommendation? What's the risk of alternative? That's it. You can have more slides, but those three questions needs to be answered. Everything else is supporting material. And let's get into the next one. 3 p.m. I opened Figma. Yes, finally, I had about 2 hours of actual screen design work scheduled for the afternoon, which is, if you are watching this because you got into UX and also you love the craft, I hear you. I love it too. And 2 hours sounds like not enough. But here's the thing that took me for a few years to understand. When the upstream work is done well, the design work is fast and obvious. So we don't be second thinking it. It's going to be, by the time I opened Figma at 3 p.m., I knew exactly what I really need to design and what I was making. I knew the constraints, I knew the user need, I knew what the stakeholders had to see, and what they have approved. I knew that what the engineers could build in the time frame. The design wasn't a blank canvas moment. It was almost more like an assembly. 2 hours was actually plenty. So this is why I get slightly concerned when I see the portfolio case studies that show 15 iterations of same screen. Sometimes that's genuine, rigorous design exploration, and that's great. But sometimes it's a signal that the problem wasn't defined clearly enough before Figma opened. So in this this kind of indecision in the design phase is often a symptom of confusion when it comes to problem phase. So can you try it in blue feedback, the endless revision cycles, and the stakeholder who keeps changing their mind, and those usually happen when the brief was never really locked. So when the user need was never really understood, when the why got skipped in favor of getting into the what. If your design process feels chaotic, I had encouraged you to look upstream before looking at the design themselves. Okay, so this 3 to 5 p.m. is going to be building. 2 hours, it's going to be done. So let's straight jump into the next chapter. Last thing of the day was a mentoring call. One of the designers I work with, she's been applying to the roles for about 3 months now. Smart. We have spent around 45 minutes together going through one of her case studies. And what I found was she had done everything right on paper. She had already thorough, well-structured the case study, and with every step of the process was documented, and yet something was missing. None of it was framed in terms of what the business gained. So every section read like, I did this, I did this, then we tested this, here's what user said. None of it said the problem cost of the company and what it actually is, and our solution addressed it by doing this. So here's the evidence. I have been showing it to all the users or all the people who are reviewing it. So it's such a small shift in framing, but it completely changes how hiring managers and clients read your work. One version says I followed a process, the other version says I solved a problem. So there is those are two different things to someone deciding whether to bring you in or not. So we spent second half of the call rewriting opening 2 paragraphs of our case study together, same information and completely different angle. So she sent me a voice note an hour later saying it finally felt like an actual work instead of a school assignment. So yeah, we do check that. I have checked it afterwards once again once she fixed it. That's the thing I keep coming back to. Good UX work is not just doing the right process. It's being able to articulate why the process led to an outcome that mattered. So, and the skill of translating your work into impact is actually learnable. It's not some mysterious senior designer instinct that happens after 5 years. No, it's not that. It's a specific way of thinking about your work, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's where I stuck. I can't unsee any things that I find. Okay, and so I have walked you through 8 hours, a client call, research synthesis, a structured, a stakeholder presentation, 2 hours of Figma, and a mentoring session. And when I look back all of it, there is one thread that runs through every single part of today. Not design skills, not Figma, not research methodology. It's going to be translation. translating user needs into a business language, translating data into decisions, translating design choices into outcomes that non-designers can act on, translating where someone is in their career into what they actually need to hear. That's the skill. So if you are hearing all this, if you're made up to last of this video, and it's not taught in any UX course I have ever seen, because it's not in the double diamond and it's not in the design thinking framework. It's not most job description gives you. Articulation is also a part, even though it's whatever every manager at the senior level is actually evaluating for. So the jump from a earlier position, that is junior position, to mid-level or a senior UX designer is mostly about crafting it, getting better at Figma, better at research, better at articulating your thinking too. So the jump from the mid-level to senior is almost entirely about translation. So can you walk into a room with people who don't speak design language and make them understand why what you are proposing in the right decision for the business? Because almost most of the members, when you get on the business call or a requirement call, no one will be there who will understand the design language. So everybody who will discuss in the business level, and you need to cope up with those people. If yes, you're a senior and you're on your way. If no, if your answer is no, then you have no amount of beautiful UI will get you there. So make sure to reach that level. That's the thing. I have been thinking about this gap a lot lately between where most UX designers are and where they are trying to get to, and I have been wondering what it would look like to close it faster than the usual 2 to 3 year trial and error timeline. I'm toying with the idea of putting together a small live cohort, very small, maybe 3 people max, or like it's going to take only 4 weeks, where we walk through real UX problems together. So client work, research synthesis, stakeholder communication, and I give you the kind of feedback, and you normally only get after years of someone watching your work. So not a recorded course or something, not a PDF guide, actual live sessions where I can see what you're doing and tell you specifically what to change. So I haven't fully built it yet. I'm figuring out if there is a genuine demand for that first, to see like whether people are really interested in watching it. So if that is interested in listening to, or getting their feedback towards, or reaching that level, so if that sounds like something you would actually want, drop a comment below or send me a DM. You can do it on Instagram or through email. My email is on a description, and I reply personally. And that's the day, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. One client call, 3 hours of research synthesis, a stakeholder presentation, 2 hours of design, and a mentoring session. So 1 to 2 hours of Figma, like 6 hours of everything that makes the Figma worth something. If you are really in your career and this feels far from where you are, it is, and that's okay. Everyone who's good at this started somewhere that looked nothing like where they ended up. So the gap closes faster when you are more intentional about what you are building towards. So if you have been in UX for a few years and some of this resonated, I genuinely love to hear which part it is. Leave a comment. I read them all, and at least in the first couple of days. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.